one wonders, why would professionals who have had stellar careers run the risk of destroying it all for a person called Donald Trump, supporting him? Listen, watch Ken Starr here and watch exactly what it means to be an enabler, a sycophant, and the dangers. Check this out. But luckily, he was rebutted, but not only rebutted, but looked silly in the process. Check this out.
12 days after the election, President Trump still refuses to concede or to begin the transition to President-elect Biden. But so far, at least, his legal challenges to the vote count have had little success. Professor Tribe, before we get into specific cases, what do you think of President Trump's overall effort to litigate the election and to hold up the transition in the meantime?
I think his overall effort is dangerous, even though we know it's going to fail. The Republicans themselves know that President Trump's claims that Biden's votes were fraudulent are without merit, because if those claims were true, then those Republicans, too, would have been elected fraudulently or mistakenly, because they were the same ballots. Now, if we know that Trump is going to lose in the courts, and we do, why should we care? The reason we should care is that he is undermining democracy, because there are millions of people who will believe him, even though there is nothing in his arguments and no evidence to back them.
Let me bring in Judge Starr. A Department of Homeland Security committee of federal, state, and local officials issued a statement this week. I want to put some of it up on the screen. They called the election the most secure in American history and said there is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. Judge, what do you think of the president's effort to hold up the transition while he litigates the election vote counts?
It's a very important process, and what we've just heard from the distinguished Professor Tribe, I think, gives new meaning to rhetorical hyperbole. Our system is designed to check. Let's check it out. And a lawsuit was filed just on Wednesday in Michigan. Let's let this process run. A lawsuit was just filed by the legendary Lynn Wood in Georgia. Don't mess with Lynn Wood. Let's find out. In the United States, we allow the jury to hear all the evidence, and that's what's happening right now. Don't rush to judgment. It's important, especially given the fact that so many tens of Americans feel right now disenfranchised. So let's get the facts in, allow this litigation to run its course. Just as in Bush v. Gore, it ran for 37 days.
Professor Tribe, you say that President Trump's lawsuits are less than frivolous. Is there any legal merit to what you just heard Judge Starr say?
Absolutely none. He says that what I've been saying gives new meaning to hyperbole. What he's been saying gives new meaning to, dare I say it, BS. There's nothing in any of these lawsuits. He says, let the jury speak. The jury of an unprecedented magnitude, 160 million Americans, has spoken. You can file lawsuits till the cows come home. And there's no end to it, but it's nothing like Bush v. Gore. There, they were recounting, not just counting, and there was a 537 vote margin. And when the U.S. Supreme Court said it's time to stop the recounting in accord with the law of Florida, I didn't agree with that, but that at least was a legal judgment. What's being asked for now is simply to undermine the belief of tens of millions of people in the conclusion that President Trump's own Department of Homeland Security reached after looking more closely than any of these courts possibly can at all the ballots, all the processes, and concluded that it was the most secure election in American history. It's time to move on. We know that Trump won't. He's going to be out there yelling and screaming and complaining.
Now, what is important to notice what Ken Starr had to say? Two things. Specifically, the first one he said is that there are millions of people that feel disenfranchised. Millions of Americans feel disenfranchised. But why do they feel disenfranchised? They feel disenfranchised because Donald Trump and his sycophants and his enablers have told them that all those mail-in ballots somehow were fraudulent. Something that is done in Colorado and many other states. Mail-in ballots are legal. We are in a pandemic. And we are a democracy. We should still want everybody to have that option to vote. And that's what they did. And to call that somehow an infringement on democracy or an infringement on the electoral process, it's really, really sad. But moreover, we have to realize that what Donald Trump did by forcing his people, encouraging his people to vote in person by being correlated with others, what he really did was became a super spreader. And we're living through that. We're living through what he has done with the disease out of control, etc., etc. But one other thing that Starr said that is very dangerous. Take a listen to him. Let the process work. Bring all these things to court and let the judges decide. Several months ago, I did the tape that talked about, or the video that talked about minority control via the usage of the court system. Donald Trump has packed the courts with a whole lot of sycophants, and the expectations are that what's going to happen going forward is that we'll have democratic laws passed, and that those judges will go against the will of the people, claiming that judiciary superiority. We have to be very careful, and it starts now. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.